Hey, how's preparation going on the short week for Tampa Bay and their new unit?
Yeah, it's good. It happens fast. Obviously, you got to turn the page. You kind of start watching, really Sunday right after the game. You clean up the tape from Sunday's game, and you got to move quickly. So it's good. We know these guys, but they, of course, everybody kind of shifts and changes throughout the season based on their personnel that's available, all those different things. But really good defense, as always. It's Coach Bowles, and he does an unbelievable job. He's done it for a long time. And so we know that we're going to get their absolute best. We know they're right in the thick of things. And so we're going to have a great week of prep, and know it's going to be – these games are always hard against these guys. So we're anticipating that kind of game, and our guys will be excited for it.
How's Levante David been able to, stay in power in the league as one of the top linebackers?
He's unbelievable. I mean, he looks the exact same as you remember him from 10 years ago. I mean, he's still flying around. He's still making a ton of plays. He can still run. He's still a huge impact player for them. So he's had a great career. Always, watched him from afar, and then being in the division, you have that much more appreciation for a guy like that. But, gosh, he must be taking care of his body and doing all the right things because he still looks the exact same to us.
And who stepped forward with Kansas going down inside with Vita?
Yeah, they have a number of guys kind of rotating through there. They're always going to have tough interior players. I mean, that's kind of how they're built. They're built through the front. Obviously, they're heavy inside with Vita and the other guys they got in there. So anticipating a good rotation of guys, but whoever's in there, sometimes you can't even tell just by their play style and the way that they're coached. So all those guys are a challenge inside for sure.
When a defense is blitz heavy, there's always a trade-off with that. As an offensive play caller, what are some of the things you're trying to take advantage of when the team relies on the blitz so much?
Yeah, I think you always are looking at what kind of blitzes are coming, when they're occurring. What are the plays that match up within your scheme based on first down, second down, third down, to make sure that you do have sound answers. That's the biggest thing, is making sure you have sound answers for the players, and making sure that you have quick element throws and those types of things, and the protection is always, overrides everything. And so you're clipping through a number of blitzes at this part of the year. I mean, they've obviously put a ton on tape, and so you're filtering through, and you've seen every single pressure, and, you're prepared for all of them, and I'm sure they're going to have new ones as well. They're always scheming different things up, so you got to have sound answers across the board. But the protection, communication, and all those things kind of takes precedence over anything, and then you just want to make sure that you have good route distribution, sound route distribution throughout the field, and give your quarterback just really good answers across the board.
I want to talk about third down. It's been difficult for you guys, for this season. Just from your experience, what are the things that go into success or failure on third down?
Yeah, it's hard because that's the most disappointing part of our offense is the third down. We started off the season kind of not playing that well in the red zone. We were playing well on third down, and then obviously, it just has not gone well in terms of third down. I've always, in one of my time in LA, I was in charge of third downs, and so that's always been kind of an area that I've always focused on when I was an assistant coach, a quarterbacks coach, and so for it not to be going down the way that you're hoping is very frustrating. Number of things that go into it. First and foremost is always going to be the protection on third downs. You got to make sure that you have sound protection. You got to make sure that we're IDing things properly. We're getting to the right people. I think we can be a lot cleaner in that area just from an upfront standpoint. And then a lot of it is just execution of the call, based on the coverage. There's a number of different coverages that you see, so you got to have sound answers. I think we've had opportunities to execute, and then there's certainly times throughout the game where I say, that wasn't a great play call there. So it's always going to be a combination of everything, but there's typically answers out there. You got to find them. Third down, a lot of times it comes down to tight coverage, tight throws, tight catches. And you just got to be on the screws with it because it is third down. You're getting tighter coverage and man coverage a lot of the time. So just making sure that when we get those opportunities, we definitely got to take advantage of it.
Zac, when you have key piece of the offense out in Michael, and someone that is progressing, and someone that you're trying to build this thing around moving forward, and you have so many other pieces in and out of the lineup like Drake, how do you kind of measure success moving forward as a whole when you have key pieces like that out that are part of the bigger plan for the organization?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for guys to step up and create an opportunity for themselves to set themselves up for next year or years coming. And I think that's the cool part of it. Do you wish everybody could be out there? 100%. You want to see the development of Mike and Drake and all these guys together, because that ultimately, like you're saying, is going to be the long-term goal here. So, it's a good opportunity for everybody. I think the biggest thing at this point is we have such a great group of guys that love playing the game, and you just want to see them just continue to enjoy playing the game of football, play hard. We've never had an issue with that here. I mean, we've got a bunch of good dudes that love the game, that play for each other, that play really hard, and the results obviously haven't been what we had hoped, but that's all you're asking for as a coach, is just to see these guys keep shooting their shot every single week, and they've done that. They've responded to adversity in the past. We're obviously going through tougher adversity than any of us have experienced in our time here. So it's a like I keep saying, but it's a close-knit group, players, coaches. Like, we are all very, very close. There's been no breaking the stone. I mean, everybody is just staying connected. They come back to work. They look you in the eye and they're ready to work every single day. So that's really all you can ask for. We know we've had some opportunities that just hasn't went down, but we just got to keep pushing forward, and I anticipate our guys doing that throughout the rest of the season.
Being around the game as long as you have in the NFL, when team goals kind of don't get met, the winning season, being eliminated from playoff contention, is there, and being around this, do you see a lot in these situations of kind of guys starting to look around, whether it be coaches, players, like, I'm auditioning for my job right now? And do you get a sense of that traditionally, and then even in a situation like this, knowing there's some uncertainty in spots?
Sure. Yeah, I think I've been a part of one other season like this, 2022 with the Rams, where it was very similar, where we lost some close games. We had a number of injuries. It was a year after the Super Bowl. Had high expectations, and things went very similarly to this year. And so I think you're so locked in and focused on whatever it's going to take that day, that week, to just go play your best, that you don't really think about it. I mean, you're auditioning for your job every single day, whether it's week 2, week 3, week 4. That's just the nature of the business. You gotta have results. You gotta win, and we certainly have not lived up to those expectations. But I do know the adversity that these guys have battled through. We've all battled through together is going to set us up, in the long term. But yeah, I think, for me personally, not speaking for the guys, but you're just so locked in on what the task is at hand that you just keep pushing forward, and knowing that you got to just play at your best every single Sunday.
Given all the change within the wide receiver room, and then also Drake London's injury, how nice is it to have someone like Kyle Pitts as another option in the passing game?
Kyle's done a great job. He's made huge strides from a season ago. He's become our kind of number one guy that we're targeting. Obviously, he's done a great job as a receiver. He's done a great job as a blocker this year. That his blocking ability has given us a lot of versatility in 12 personnel, in 13 personnel, to do a lot of different things. And so, can't say enough good things about Kyle. There's certainly, with everybody, you want just those finer details to just keep showing up, but he puts in the work. I think he's having a really good season, and Coach Koger's done a great job with him really all throughout the season, because of all of our guys, he's got a lot on his plate. Bijan's the same way. He's got a lot on his plate. He's moving all different spots, but Kyle's kind of that next guy that he's flexing, 13 personnel, 12, 11. So he's having to learn a number of spots. He's handling it really well, but it's definitely nice to see him making a bunch of plays like he has the last couple weeks.
How's everybody doing today? Good. Start off real quick. I know we got a quick turnaround. Going off the game last week, obviously talk about starting the second half. Our guys did a great job on the first 2 kicks, covering versus Shaheed. But it's all about that next rep, because we're only guaranteed each and every game one kickoff return. So that was very unfortunate for that to happen. And being able to address that with those guys, one, that it can't happen. Just no different than what Raheem said. That can't happen. Guys work their butts off each and every day, each and every play, and we don't get a second or third down. So when something like that happens, Mark, that's a momentum-changing play. And our guys, when we do everything right on that play, it looks really good. But if one guy is off and they don't execute and they're not being disciplined with doing their job, it can add to a big seam when you never know what happens after that big seam opens up. So we got to be better there. Thought the guys did a good job with the punts. KOR, it was good to see Tompkins get some returns going in the kickoff return game and guys being clean with their blocks. And then obviously on field goal block, we got to be clean off the edge. Op time was good. Protection inside out was good. It's just that last little bit. Give Seattle credit. That guy's been doing a great job all season, number 3 off the edge, and we have to get more of him and get a better punch on the edge to give Zane opportunity to put that ball through the uprights. I am proud of Zane, how he's been operating. He did end up finishing with 3 field goals, but we missed out on that opportunity for him to have that 4th field goal as you look at it as in the game. This week going against Tampa, good challenge. Played against those guys the first time. They're good core players all over the board with Nilsson, number 98, Hayes, 32. Riley Dixon has been doing it for 10 years, does a great job flipping the field, and he's an athletic punter when it comes to what he does in the punt game. So we're look forward to a challenge on a short week, a divisional game on the road, and I'll open it up to any questions.
Yeah, Coach, on the replay, it looked like one of the guys got double teamed. Is there a way to avoid those or jump out of that, or how do you attack that?
We have different techniques and formalities and modalities that we use to defeat double teams. You watch the second rep when they did double team Hodge. He did a great job splitting it. Just so happened before he even got to the ball, Watts made the play on the tackle. The return they ran was no different than the first return that they ran where Felipe Franks and Ronnie Harrison made the play. It's just going back to being able to execute the call that we have at hand. If we call something, let's make sure that all 11 guys are doing their job at the highest level possible. And that's our number one goal in that room. Every single player, 1 of 11, doing your job. Because when you do your job, you may not make the play, but you're helping somebody else make the play. And it's being consistent throughout that process to do that. But we have different ways, D-Led, to answer your question, to defeat double teams. The one thing you don't want to do is get washed to one sideline or other sideline. You want to be firm and not slow down your motor. And that was a hard double team. Hodge had a D lineman and a big tight end on him. And he was fighting his butt off to get off that double team.
Marquise, Raheem said yesterday that things have to change on special teams. Maybe that's a personnel thing. So Jordan Fuller got released yesterday. What might that look like Thursday?
You mean like change on special teams, like?
You maybe shuffle who you're using. I mean, what could that look like? Because that's what Raheem said.
Yeah, every day, every week we change on special teams. As you can look at our roster, you can look at inactives, actives. If you look deep and look at close every week on whether it's our punt team, our punt return team, kickoff return, every week we have moving parts. Every week our active game day roster changes on who's inactive. So we're always making changes, always looking to put guys in the best positions to go out there and use their attributes to help the team win.
What does that look like throughout the week when there are more, looking back at games, some repetitive special teams mistakes, that process with Raheem and you? How much does he get involved more with it? Is it more attention to detail on his end? Being in the meetings, just kind of shed some light on that process.
It's always fluid. We have good communication, and it starts in game. If something, whether it's good or bad, happens in game, we have that communication. We talk about that play. We diagnose. My job to diagnose the play and give him the information on what happened on that play, whether it's during the game, after the game, or even the following day. And always looking, because us as coaches, we're looking for solutions, and we're looking to help our guys get those solutions to do their things. Just been unfortunate. For the most part, guys have been covering well. When you have those one-offs, those things stick out like a sore thumb because it's a one-play mentality. We don't get a second down. But those are things that we continually talk about all the time. Make sure our guys are doing their job at the highest level.
You've been around the game long enough. Now that the team goals, making the playoffs, winning season, that has passed, this is usually a time where guys feel like they're fighting for their job, whether it be players and coaches. Do you get a sense of that? Do you feel that yourself, that you're fighting for your job week in, week out?
I won't necessarily say I'm fighting for my job, because that's like the wrong perspective. I'm looking to try to thrive at my job. I'm not like you could have the mindset like worried about like losing a position or losing your playing time and whatnot, rather than trying to thrive at and keep your process driven and how can we get better. So I mean, it's a competitive league. Each and every week we're looking to get better. Yes, right now we're eliminated from playoffs, but it doesn't stop us from us playing good football on Thursday night versus a good football team. And for us on special teams, we just want to win our one down. Whatever that down is, let's go win it. And the more we can win, the more we can put our team in position to win games.
Can you break down in any specificity the Shaheed return and just what went wrong there, basically what should have happened? I looked at it a bunch and it just, I don't know if it's about guys just getting off of blocks or if it's the cohesive like squeezing of, the lanes. If you could just talk
Yeah,
about
well, Patrick, if you watched the first one and the third one, those are the exact same returns. The only difference was somebody stayed on Felipe and then somebody chipped Felipe. Felipe made the tackle on the first one because they didn't stay on him, and he made the tackle. But they were doubling. They doubled the 5, which was red at the time, and Ronnie Harrison did a good job of playing the block. The next time we played against that, we knew exactly what they were running, and we didn't execute the call. So there's guys in position to where we could work a certain game to free somebody up, and the game wasn't ran. And then on the backside, we got to make sure we avoid to the ball. You saw there's a player that missed a tackle. It's because he took the path of least resistance. It's no different in defense, Patrick. Like, if I'm running to the ball and the ball goes away from me, and that ball's it's going to initially, they're trying to go vertical, right? Go towards the touchdown. We got to defend it. Do I want to work over the top or do I want to go behind it? Behind it may be the least path of resistance, but is that going to help me make a play on the football? So it's those things we got to stay consistent and disciplined with, whether I'm to the kick side of the ball or the back side of the ball.
Did the release of Jordan Poole have anything to do with performance on special teams?
And those are personnel questions that I don't answer. You answer those questions with Raheem or Terry.
Zach just came in here and talked about the fact that not converting third downs offensively is the most frustrating thing for him this year.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most frustrating thing for you?
The most frustrating thing is, I'll say overall, just our team success. I always look at, like, at the end of the day, I want offense, defense, special teams to all be successful. I want the best for Ulbrich. I want the best for Zach. I want the best for all of our players. I want the best for Coach Morris and Terry and Mr. Blank. And that's been the most disappointing thing. And then there's a process that goes behind that. So, like, part of that is making sure that we can win our plays, whether it's on special teams, whether it's a PAT, whether it's forcing a guy to miss a field goal, whether it's getting a return to the 39-yard line to set us up for our first field goal in the last game. All those little things. How can we, if like the offense doesn't gain a first down, how can we flip the field, which we did on the first punt, and put them around the 10-yard line? Our defense does a good job. They get them stopped at the 1-yard line, and we get a punt. Like, those are the things that fire me up. But disappointing-wise, it's just more so us winning as a team, just collective wins. And right now we have 4 games to go out there and put our best foot forward. And it starts this Thursday, and we will do whatever we can and whatever it takes to go be 1-0, offense, defense, and special teams. And I know our guys are going to be ready. We had a great morning this morning, and we're going to follow up with our second walkthrough.
On the field goal block, just to confirm, I think you mentioned it, but the snap to kick time is what you want to see.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So that's more of a blocking issue on the wing there.
Yeah, you just got to put a hand on it. We just got to make sure that we're consistent. Think about field goal. Those guys work downfield, and the old linemen are working their butts off all the way downfield, and usually you're moving the ball. So it's one more down. It's a got to have it. So it's just being locked in and being disciplined for one more play for 2 seconds. 2 more seconds, and then they're off the field. And we just got to be clean with that, and it's my job to remind them. I'll put it on myself, keep them in the present. Even though they're already on the field and I can't talk to them, being able to have somebody go on the field that's part of the field goal team. Hey, little reminders, which I do every single time, and keeping those guys in the presence. Were they trying to mess up? No, they weren't trying to mess up. Give credit to Seattle. The guy did a phenomenal job, used his speed and his length to come around the corner to get his hand on the ball. But we showed up again, and the next time we went out there, we did a good job on the perimeter versus that guy. But we need that right away. We can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, Coach, what are some of the keys as you all are preparing to, see Baker Mayfield and the Bucs again here?
I don't know where to start.
Baker, let's start with Baker.
Yeah, the quarterback is, he's Houdini. You watch him against some of the best defensive lines in this league, and you feel like he's corralled, he's down, he's sacked, and all of a sudden, not only does he get out of like the most impossible situations, then he makes a play. So it's just he's as good as I've seen in a long, long time as far as the competitor that he is, the toughness that he demonstrates on a play-to-play basis, and then his just in those. We preach, be at your best when your best is required. Well, he lives that life. Like critical third downs, 2-minute, end of game when you got to have a play, he just consistently makes it. So he's going to, and you don't stop Baker Mayfield with your rush. You stop him with everything. You stop him with the way you try to manipulate what he's seeing from a coverage perspective, playing tight, sticky coverage at times. And then, you got to be very conscientious in the way that you rush him. It's got to be very organized. Everybody has to complement each other. And, it's a problem. And then the receiver core, it's a very unique situation because obviously they have a ton of talent from a receiver standpoint. But because Mike has not played a ton this year and he's been out from time to time, Two has taken a lot of those roles, and he's been featured in ways that in the past they featured Mike Evans. So now with the full, contingency here with Godwin, Two, Mike, all of them, Tez, all of them, that you're not quite certain how they're going to feature each particular receiver, So it's, we're really studying this from a conceptual standpoint as opposed to a personnel standpoint. But it's maybe our greatest challenge to date, and then a backfield that's, it's as deep as we've seen. 44, I would put him up against any third down or any third back in this league, and he's probably one or two on most teams. And I'm excited too for our line to get Tristan back, Wirfs back, because in my opinion, one of the best tackles in this game, and a sack against him is a real sack. That sack counts, in the best of ways.
What's the biggest difference? Obviously, you're under a time crunch here when you're playing Thursday, but how does that affect the way that you go about trying to get these guys prepared to play when you just have that limited time?
Yeah, well, we're fortunate in that the system that we're trying to build here, that we're in the process of building, obviously being year one of this deal, that we don't do a ton from a schematic standpoint. We hang our hat on fundamentals and technique and getting things right. So we're not as challenged as far as it comes to all this new defense, and it's just more about, refining our defense and then applying it to their principles. So maybe less obstacles than most, but it's still, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to get these guys' bodies back and then to get them engaged, and obviously just an overload of information on a day like this. The first half of the day was a Wednesday. The second half of the day was a Thursday. It's challenging. I mean, it's challenging just a standard Wednesday and Thursday in this league. So, fortunately, we have such an amazing group regarding their approach and their attitude, and they're all in. Even with the circumstance we're in, they're all in. So, blessed in that way.
Going back to Sunday's game, what changed between the first and second half?
And this is everybody. I'm not blaming this on anybody. This is players and coaches, because we are absolutely in this thing together. We didn't respond to adversity like we needed to and like we should. So in those moments, and we got to keep preaching it, and obviously I got to do a better job, and we all collectively have to do a better job. And in those moments, it's not about stepping outside of your job. It's not. It's about just performing your job at the highest level. That's it. And if we collectively do that in these moments where adversity hits, that's how you respond. And we're missing the mark here and there, and it's not okay. And it's something that has to be remedied. It's got to be fixed today, tomorrow, yesterday. So it was disappointing on every level, and we always want to start fast. Cool, that's the intent. But ultimately, great defenses are defined by the way they finish, the way they close games out, and we got to do a better job of that.
Was Kubiak doing anything different that you saw in the second half, or was it more of the same and it's just execution, or what did you see there?
He threw a few wrinkles at us that were challenging schematically, and we got to do a better job as far as refining our scheme and making sure that there's less snakes in the grass in some of the things that we're calling. And he did an excellent job of that for sure. And then there's things that we just, we got to play better. And there's opportunities for me to put guys in better positions too. So, it's on all of our hands, that loss and the way it went down. And it's not okay.
You're a blitz-heavy defense. When you blitz, there's always trade-offs. Do you think overall that they've been worth it for your defense this season?
It's an interesting question, because it's something, just historically, at least me as a play caller, it's something that I haven't rested my hat on. I have not been a heavy pressure person in the past. I felt like there was two things going for us. For one, we were on the younger side, so when you're younger, like pass rush it's art, and I've said that in the past, and I truly believe that. And it takes so much time on task, and it takes years to create some mastery regarding how you rush. So sometimes to supplement a youthful rush is provide pressure, and it does two things. For one, it gets guys going, and potentially gets a free runner, and potentially gets favorable matchups and one-on-one matchups across the board. But two, it also, in my opinion, it loosens up protections too, when the threat of it is there, when the threat is real. So even when you don't bring it, you can create some space that you might not otherwise create. So it's a good question. I think, when this is all said and done, and we are absolutely cooking, and it's where we want it to be, we'll have less pressure, but I think it's been good for us, and we're so fortunate here to have, Coach Huxtable here that he's really my right-hand man regarding pressure, and he's done an amazing job this year of tailoring the pressures to the opponent and really attacking protections better than maybe I've ever been around. So very fortunate to have him in that way, and he's done an amazing job for us.
How do you feel like James Coach Jr. has gotten better throughout the season?
I've said this probably intentionally redundant, but it's a byproduct of the process. I really feel like the process has improved from week to week. He's starting to really figure out what a week is supposed to look like as a professional. Is it perfect? No. And is it where it needs to be? No. But it's improving, and he acknowledges that, recognizes that, and he sees it, and it's been really cool and gratifying, and it when you see someone improving their process, you see them taking better notes and more attentive in walkthroughs and better finish in practice. When you see that, it's like you just hope and pray that it results in production, because then it reinforces in the way that it needs to for young players that, okay, process improves, the product on Sunday improves. And we've been fortunate that it's worked out that way for him. And starting to see the fruits of his labor and our labor collectively as an organization and group and a defense. And I think, he is absolutely just scratching the surface of what he could become as a rusher. And it's going to be fun to see him finish this season out in the right way, because I know he will.
Xavier Watts had such a hot start to this season, but how have you seen him grow since then?
Yeah, in my opinion, the steady growth, it's not always demonstrated in production and picks here, PBUs, or whatever the case may be, but he has just steadily improved the entire season, partly because of, having, Rudy with him and having LS with him, two amazing coaches that have really helped improve his game and taken him to another space. And then having a guy like Jesse Bates next to you during the week and on game day, Jesse will be a huge part of the reason this kid becomes just an amazing professional football player. And it's been fun to watch him progress and become, like you saw it early, just these glimpses, and the more he plays, just the better he gets. And he's one of those rare guys that the more success he has, the hungrier he gets to get even better and improve. It's not, I don't think I've ever seen a moment where he's even alluded to the fact that I got this, and taking that deep breath and kicking his feet up. I don't think that's in him, so again, just like James, I think it's a guy that we're just scratching the surface with, and what he will become is something I think this organization, this fan base can be really proud of.
Do you see Jesse kind of going to Xavier, whether in practice or in game, and making corrections, suggestions, and kind of be like, all right, you got this?
Well, without a doubt, yeah. Jesse is he's one of those, it's why I got into coaching. It's just, you're proud to be associated with him. You're proud to coach him. You're proud to be around him, the way he carries himself, the selfless human being and the selfless teammate that he is. A guy that's, reached the pinnacle in this league regarding, his own success. He's become, I would argue anyone to say he's not a top 3 safety in this league, if not the best safety in this league. But now he's in that part of his career where it's like, I still want to improve, I still want to be the best, but at the same time, I want to bring Xavier with me, and I want to help this kid become one of the best safeties. And in my opinion, they're becoming one of the best safety duos, if not the best safety duo in the league right now.
Back to Tampa, it's a division opponent. It's one that many people on this defense are familiar with, having played twice a year. And you kick off the season against, how would they changed from week 1 to today?
You know, I can really see it from the play caller standpoint. You know, when we played him, it was his first time out, and not to say it was bad by any means, because it wasn't. I mean, they won the game, but you can really feel like he's making this his own. You know, and he's really starting to refine the scheme to match his personality, and you're starting to see some of the fruits of that labor. So it's a little bit different than what we faced the first week. There's some base fundamentals that are just part of this offense, obviously from the same coaching tree as Zach and Sean McVay, et cetera. But yeah, he's definitely making it his own, and it's going to be an awesome challenge. It really will be.